traveled to Guatemala to Lake Atitlan in order to tell the story of the weaving women in the traditional Mayan textiles. When I arrived in the city, I immediately felt the challenges of poverty and pollution. It seemed every single car was emitting black smoke, and the roads were littered in garbage. This garbage seemed to be everywhere. Thus, I promptly left the city into the rural Lake Atitlan. And on my way, on my journey there, I met a very special young man who shared his experiences and encounters with the weaving women of Guatemala. His sharing became much of the inspiration for my story that I would tell through photography and video. And once I got to the lake, I saw that it was surrounded by 3 large volcanoes and mountains and small pueblos that could be accessed by boat. And I visited 4 of them and discovered that each had their own unique flavor. This was a very special place. I began to make connections. I had a little struggle at first. The women seemed to be skeptical of me, and I understood this because apparently their business negotiations with gringos in the past weren't so well. The gringos repeatedly let them down. So when I approached them for this story, there was great skepticism. But in time, I befriended women at several cooperatives and gained the trust of Teresa and Miriam, mother and daughter at the San Juan Cooperativa. And they agreed to interviews for my story. I was very happy. Seemed to be making progress. In addition, I sought the perspectives of the young artistas in the community on their feelings and perspectives about the local traditions of weaving, the women weavers. And at first they too were skeptical about my intentions for work, to collaborate with them. And they were very serious about getting down to the truth of what my intentions were, which was solely to discover, to unveil and share with the world this living tradition, and eventually gain their trust too. So now I had connections in the community. It was very exciting. However, the actual work, the actual progress seemed to be very slow. I was in the river, but I felt like I was swimming upstream. I wasn't going anywhere. And many complications arose. It seemed if it wasn't one thing, it was the other. Either I was sick or others, some circumstances weren't flowing. So for instance, at the women's cooperative in the mornings, the tourist groups were coming through. It made it impossible to film, but in the afternoons, the clouds drifted through the mountains and it made the low light undesirable for photography or film. And at the colectivo of the young men, the young artists, after several failed attempts for interviews, I was finally able to connect with them, but instead of an interview, I was offered a shot of Jose Cuervo with salt and lime. And so I was, a bit discouraged with the progress, and I actually became ill. I fell sick, and everything seemed to be getting to me. The tourism, the hustle of the tourism, the money exchange, the bargaining, in every aspect of the life there was like demasiado. It's too much. It's too much. And the dryness of the land the automobiles kicking up the dust, and the smoke and the air from the fires of the houses they used to cook and to heat their water. Everything, you know, from the smells, the tastes, to the energy in the air, the strange energy of the rumors of violence against tourists, just really seemed to inundate my state of being on this journey of trying to produce a story. It seemed like the world was against me. And I questioned, was I going against the natural flow of things? And I didn't want to force the story onto the world. And so I decided to surrender to the circumstances at hand. I decided to surrender the role of director of the story and allow the lake, Atitlan, to tell the story on its own terms. I become unattached at this point, and at that point things began to shift. Literally, very on a physical level, the seasons shifted. It was very dry. Now the rains began to come down. I woke one morning and for the first time the air was fresh and wet. It was crisp. It was quite a relief. And it was cool and windy, and I walked into a cafe where I met a young Latina woman, Eva, and her mother. They were traveling together on vacation, and they were leaving back to the city in a few days. A couple days, we befriended each other, and their warm company cheered me up in my state of imbalance from the rest of the experiences. And a couple days passed, and I woke in the middle of the night. I sat up with this surge of energy sort of rising through me, and began to feel it through my limbs, and I'm just, you know, waking up out of this dream state with this strong energy in my body, and I'm just feeling it in the dark room, and I'm breathing it, and as I'm breathing in, I'm feeling like I'm breathing in the essence of the lake, this sacred place that was formed by ancient volcanoes, this body of water. And as I'm feeling this energy, this story that I came to tell, this story unfolds in my mind with these visions, and it's already written, it's already told, it's all the materials already gathered. And I know at that point it's time to move on. And so in the middle of the night, I pack my bags. I pack everything and tidy it all up, all my belongings, in preparation to meet with the Latina family to leave in the morning, back to the city. South. My journey is southward. And so I arrive at their hotel at 6 a.m., ready with coffee to serve. And they accept my desire to go with them. They had offered earlier, and they were happy to accommodate me. So we all rode together. And for the next 4 days in their house in the city, I spent video editing and just impromptu learning as I gathered the footage and the photos and the story together. Very intensely on this realizing this vision I had in the middle of the night. And it came the time where it was time to continue southward, further south, and the story wasn't yet finished. Well, I took a bus through El Salvador, Honduras, Nicaragua, and Costa Rica. And as it turned out, the initial bus was 7 hours late. And so, subsequently, the entire journey was non-stop without a single night's rest. I arrived in Costa Rica having spent 36 hours on the buses with no rest, and I fell ill. I felt really ill. And I took a bus from the city in Costa Rica to the rural Monteverde, where I felt I could recover a bit, and spent the next 4 days coughing, sneezing, in video editing to complete the story. And finally, the story was done. I had prevailed. I had overcome a long series of obstacles. It was the quintessential heroic journey which made me the hero. Except, I have to ask, is that what life is really about? Is the hero's journey what life is really like? A long series of obstacles to finally reach a moment of relief. Can there ever truly be victory if the journey itself is loathed? So if I'm a hero at all, my heroism resides in the realization that there need not be such a struggle at all. And that every obstacle we encounter is an opportunity to surrender our control over that moment. And in doing so, transmute a world of chaos into a world of grace. And we become heroes in every day of our lives. This is the story. This is the hero's journey. This is the new hero's journey.